On Monday, a horrifying clip from a recently released HBO documentary went viral. In the scene, congregants at a Unitarian Universalist church are invited by the female pastor to, quote, proclaim their identity publicly as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersex, pansexual, asexual, or any category I've left out, unquote. A mother then pulls her young son, 4 years old it turns out, onto the stage to announce that he's really a girl. But the poor child has no interest in being paraded around like his mother's show pony, so he hands the microphone back, saying that he doesn't want to do it. The mother takes it upon herself to come out on her son's behalf, informing the audience that her son, Phoenix, would, quote, like you to know that she's a girl and she prefers she and her pronouns. Completing this apparently familiar ritual, the pastor hands the child a pink flower as the congregation repeats its creepy affirmation in unison, quote, may you be well, safe, and whole. We honor you exactly as you are. Of course, that's the exact opposite of what they're really doing. This isn't even the worst scene in HBO's Transhood documentary, which is now available on their streaming platform. The film follows 4 transgender children over the course of 5 years. It's clearly meant to promote and normalize the deranged sort of child abuse just described, but any rational person who subjects themselves to the film, which I did, but I wouldn't recommend it, will come away with a number of important insights that the filmmakers did not intend. Phoenix's case is, I think, especially instructive. Before the forced coming out party, we see the boy in a dress, in a different scene, on a bed filled with lots of pink and rainbow-colored things, and he's being read a book called Jacob's New Dress by his mother. Here's that scene, if you can stomach it.
Emily slid into a shiny yellow dress, while Jacob wiggled into a sparkly pink dress. What are you wearing? Asked Mom. It's like a dress. I made it. Dad frowned. You can't go to school with that. Put on some shorts and a shirt under that dress thing, Mom said. And hurry, we're late for school. You're never late for school, are you? Because you're homeschooled. Let's get the sewing machine, she said finally. Jacob felt the air refill his body. He grinned. Mom smiled back. There are all sorts of ways to be a boy, she said. Right?
Wait, I'm a boy.
I know.
And also,
You're a rainbow boy.
and I'm also wearing girl clothes.
You are wearing your clothes, so they are boy clothes. Dad looked up from his book.
Girl clothes.
Okay, those are girl clothes. They can be whatever you want.
I am a girl boy.
Next, in an interview, the mother, Molly, tells us that Phoenix is, quote, gender expansive, non-binary, gender non-conforming, gender awesome, under the trans umbrella, girl boy, and rainbow boy. All of those things. Before finally concluding that, quote, we don't really have a good term. Well, I have a really good term. It's called boy. Now, for his part, the father, Zach, mostly sits quietly, a common theme in the film, which we'll return to in a moment. But he agrees that his son's gender is somehow, quote, up in the air right now. Eventually, Phoenix, who never at any point shows any strong desire to be a girl and appears to be mostly confused and bored with the whole thing, is nonetheless socially transitioned into one. But the years pass and Phoenix continues in the nasty habit of being a boy despite his parents insisting otherwise. Eventually, they get divorced, another common theme, and decide that, never mind, actually their son is a boy after all, it turns out. But the good news is that Molly feels better at the end because she's worked through her issues and is starting a new leaf, where we are not exactly told how her son really feels about having his gender switch back and forth, while his home life is ripped in two and his parents give up on their marriage. His feelings and well-being appear to be more of an afterthought amid his mother's psychodrama. Shades of the Phoenix story can be easily detected in the other 3 trans kid profiles. There's Jay, age 12, when filming begins. She's a girl making the, quote, transition into a boy. Her father doesn't appear to be in the picture at all. I don't think we see him at all. But her mother, Bryce, is a lesbian who eventually meets and marries a defensive lineman from the local women's football league. By the end of the film, Lena has decided to take it all the way, going under the surgeon's knife. The surgeon is also transgender, to make his physical transition permanent and basically irreversible. The most disturbing story of all is that of 7-year-old Avery. He's a boy who, according to his parents, is really deep down a girl. Avery's mother, Debbie, traipses the child all around the country, doing media interviews, attending marches, rallies, etc. The cameras catch the moments when Debbie informs Avery that he'll be, quote, writing a trans-affirming children's book and then going on a book tour. Against his will, he doesn't want to do it. And also when Debbie tells Avery that a National Geographic photographer will be arriving shortly to take pictures for the magazine's upcoming cover story on gender. Avery is visibly and audibly unhappy with all of this.
We're going to Washington, D.C.
We're gonna be moving to the White House Central area to throw a book in Donald Trump's face.
I don't think that we want to say that, no. This one is Time to Thrive, and it's for people who work with LGBTQ youth. We actually go and meet with our senators and representatives. After we do that, we go and sit and sell some of Avery's books for a little while. Avery, manners.
I just don't want to even have a book. I've done too much in this world. It's ruined my life enough, and now everyone in this world is going to know. If I sell my book, it's going to go on the news along with me for the 50th time at this point, and it's just going to make my life worse.
A couple years ago, you wanted people to know.
Yeah, I did, but now that was really stupid, silly mistake, and now I don't. Yeah, that's something. Let's go pack now.
Avery doesn't seem too invested in this female persona. Minus the long neon-colored hair and the overcompensating rainbow outfits that his mother puts him in, he comes across like a relatively normal young boy. And that is one of the important lessons the film doesn't want to teach us, but does anyway. There is no mystery to the transness of Avery, Phoenix, Lena, or Jay, or any trans child. In Avery's case, his mother has, it would seem, very clearly imposed a trans identity onto him. Munchausen syndrome by proxy is a known mental illness where a parent, usually a mother, pretends that their child is sick or sometimes even causes the child to be sick in order to gain sympathy and attention for themselves from the public. If the psychiatric industry was at all honest and trustworthy, Debbie would be diagnosed with this disorder and her children removed from her care for their own safety. As it happens, though, and as the film clearly portrays, doctors and therapists are much more likely to feed into this kind of mania than to diagnose and treat it. A gender-confused child with a parent like Debbie stands no chance. He will find no help, no protection from his pediatricians or his therapist or his school. They're just going to send him off to be drugged, mutilated, and further abused.